Hi Reds, welcome back to United Updates, and today we have got a huge Manchester United transfer and squad update because there is plenty happening behind the scenes at Old Trafford as we enter what could be a very dramatic final stage of the summer transfer window. Manchester United are still working hard to strengthen the squad, and the message coming from the club is becoming increasingly clear. United want another defensive midfielder before this summer transfer window closes. The big question is, who will be the player coming through the door? One name that continues to attract attention is Crystal Palace midfielder Adam Wharton. According to reports from The Sun, Manchester United retain an active interest in the England midfielder. Wharton is a player who has been admired for his technical ability, composure on the ball, and his ability to operate in the deeper areas of midfield. However, there is a major problem. A potential deal would not be straightforward because Crystal Palace are understood to have a very high valuation of their midfielder, while Manchester United would also face serious competition from other clubs. And this is where things become really interesting. United clearly understand that the midfield needs more balance. The club has already invested in midfield this summer, but with the demands of a long Premier League campaign, European football and domestic competitions, Michael Carrick needs genuine quality and competition in that area of the pitch. So, let me ask you Reds, would you pay a big fee for Adam Wharton, or should Manchester United walk away if Crystal Palace demand too much money? Personally, I think this is exactly the kind of decision United have to get right. The club cannot simply buy players because they are available, but at the same time, Manchester United cannot afford to keep missing out on quality players because of fear over transfer fees. And that brings us perfectly to another major story involving Newcastle United and Lewis Hall. Fabrizio Romano has provided an update on Manchester United's interest in Lewis Hall. United contacted the players' camp, and Hall was informed about Manchester United's interest. Newcastle were also made aware of the situation, but their response was extremely clear. No way! Newcastle do not want to lose Hall. But Manchester United did not simply disappear after hearing that message. The interest remained, and this is important because Newcastle have already seen a number of first-team players leave during this transfer window. From Newcastle's perspective, their position is understandable. They want to protect their squad and maintain the quality they have built. From Manchester United's perspective, however, the club clearly believes Hall could provide valuable competition and flexibility. And Reds, this is where I want to hear your opinion. Should Manchester United continue pushing Newcastle for Lewis Hall, or should the club move on and concentrate its money and energy on other targets? For me, Lewis Hall would be an interesting addition because modern football demands players who can offer more than one solution. United need competition in every position, and they cannot go into another Premier League campaign relying on a small number of players to carry the workload. But Newcastle's stance could make this extremely difficult. Now, let's move to another exciting name because Manchester United have reportedly opened discussions with Paris Saint-Germain regarding Ibrahim Mbaye. According to reports from Diario AS, Manchester United are considering a move for the young PSG player. United could potentially explore a loan deal, although a permanent transfer is also being considered. However, if PSG were to entertain a permanent departure, they would reportedly want more than 50 million euros. Now, that is a serious amount of money for a young player, and Manchester United would have to decide whether Mbaye is someone worth making that kind of investment in. The loan option could potentially be much more attractive because it would allow United to assess the player before committing to a massive permanent transfer. But again, this is where recruitment becomes absolutely crucial. Manchester United cannot simply look at a player's reputation and immediately spend huge money. The club needs to know exactly how that player fits Michael Carrick's football, how quickly he can adapt to English football, and whether he can genuinely raise the level of the squad. And speaking of squad changes, there is another interesting development involving Igor Matanovic. Reports from Ekrem Konur claim Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur have held talks over the Freiburg striker. United reportedly view Matanovic as an alternative to Joshua Zirkzee, while Juventus continue to show interest in Zirkzee. And this creates another major question surrounding the Manchester United squad. Could Joshua Zirkzee actually leave Old Trafford before the transfer window closes? At the moment, his future remains uncertain. Zirkzee has had moments where he has shown quality, but Manchester United need to make decisions based on what is best for the team moving forward. If the club believes another striker would offer a better tactical fit or greater competition, then a change could potentially happen. But I personally would not rush into selling Zirkzee simply for the sake of making another signing. Manchester United need to be careful. You cannot keep changing the squad every 6 months and expect instant stability. The club needs to identify players who genuinely fit the long-term project. And now, Reds, let's talk about some very positive news, because there is finally an encouraging update regarding Matthijs de Ligt. Manchester United are reportedly delighted with de Ligt's recovery, with the defender currently ahead of schedule. The Dutch international is pushing hard to return to first-team training and rejoin the squad as soon as possible. And honestly, this could be absolutely massive for Michael Carrick. Manchester United need defensive stability. They need experienced defenders who can organise the backline, win physical battles, defend set pieces and provide leadership when matches become difficult. If de Ligt can return fully fit and maintain his fitness, that could almost feel like a new signing for Carrick. Imagine having de Ligt back competing for his place, alongside the other defensive options in the squad. Competition for places can only be a good thing if everyone is fit and performing. And this brings us to perhaps the biggest talking point of today's update, Roy Keane's criticism of Manchester United's transfer approach. Keane has questioned whether United are being too cautious in the transfer market, arguing that the club cannot rebuild itself by constantly looking for bargains. And I have to say, Reds, there is a serious debate to be had here. Manchester United absolutely should not throw money around. Nobody is saying the club should pay £80 million simply because a player is fashionable. But there is also a huge difference between being financially responsible and being too afraid to invest in genuine quality. If Manchester United identify a player who is proven, who fits the tactical system, who improves the starting 11, and who has the mentality to handle the pressure of playing at Old Trafford, then sometimes you have to pay the money. That's modern football. Look at the biggest clubs competing for trophies. When they identify the right player, they don't always wait for a bargain, they make the move. But there is another side to this argument. Manchester United have spent huge amounts of money in recent years, and not every expensive signing has worked. So, the answer cannot simply be, spend more money. The real answer should be, spend better. That is the difference. Manchester United need recruitment that is smarter, more disciplined and more aggressive when the right opportunity appears. The club should not be shopping simply to fill positions. The club should be looking for players who raise the standards inside the dressing room. If you sign a midfielder, he should make the other midfielders fight for their place. If you sign a defender, he should make the existing defenders work harder. If you sign an attacker, he should bring genuine competition for places. That is how you rebuild a football club. And this is why I believe the final weeks of this transfer window could be absolutely fascinating. United are still being linked with defensive midfielders such as Adam Wharton, while the club has also explored other options in midfield. At the same time, there are questions surrounding Lewis Hall, Ibrahim Mbaye, Igor Matanovic and Joshua Zirkzee. And then you have Matthijs de Ligt's recovery, which could provide another major boost to Carrick's squad. So, Reds, what do you make of everything happening at Manchester United right now? Should United go all in for Adam Wharton despite Crystal Palace's huge valuation? Would you continue fighting Newcastle for Lewis Hall after their very clear no way response? Is Ibrahim Mbaye worth potentially spending more than €50 million on? Or would a loan deal be the smarter option? Could Igor Matanovic become the alternative to Joshua Zirkzee? And most importantly, do you agree with Roy Keane that Manchester United cannot rebuild by constantly looking for bargains? For me, the answer is somewhere in the middle. United should not panic buy. United should not overpay. But United also cannot be afraid of making big decisions when the right player becomes available. Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in world football. The expectation at Old Trafford is not simply to finish fourth or qualify for Europe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who should Manchester United sign before the window closes?